Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sippin' Sports. Dalton today, joined by Broad Sports. So KJ's on vacation. Chris is getting his new house together. So I brought a fan favorite back. I don't think anybody's sad at that. Broad, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back.
It's Saturday. Got a ton to talk about for you guys. Like I said, got a jam-packed show. Got a great guest. So let's just get into it. First topic of the day, Broad. I don't know if you've heard this yet. This is kind of craziness. But the Philadelphia 76ers are actually kicking around moving to South Jersey permanently. Not just the practice facility, the actual stadium, the whole team relocating to Camden, New Jersey.
Wait. Why is this even an idea?
It's a horrible idea. The South Jersey Sixers, Broad. You're not getting a jersey?
No! So, if you didn't pay attention in the news, the Arena Football League came back this season, right?
Yep.
So they brought back the Philadelphia Soul. Unfortunately, they went bankrupt by the third or fourth week with hopes to get back into the league this season. A lot of the teams went bankrupt, but yeah, they're the Philadelphia Soul, yet they played in Trenton. They played in Trenton, New Jersey as the Philadelphia Soul.
Sounds like the Trenton Soul to me.
So we've already seen a team, one of our old teams that used to be really good. I think they won like 3 or 4 Arena Bowls that relocated to South Jersey still with the Philadelphia title, and that failed. So
just wild.
I'm perplexed by this.
I'll give you a little bit more background too. So the state is actually the one that's making this huge push. And Broad, if I ask you a question, I had a history teacher in high school. You'll love this answer. He said, gentlemen, if you ever go to business school, and I had a college professor actually say it too. Shout out to Mr. Alaruzo if he's ever watching. The answer to the test 75% of the time in business school is money. Pretty funny, but pretty true. 3 out of 4 times it's money. So let's talk about what is fueling the push on this, because this is just wild. A team that's been located in Philadelphia its whole life. Philadelphia is such a rich fan base.
Minus its origins in Syracuse.
Syracuse, yeah. Correct. Yeah, sorry. But you get the point of what I'm saying. Like, since the 60s, 70s, maybe even 50s, I'm definitely confident about the 70s and 60s. Philadelphia has been a 4-for-4 city with people bleeding, dying, loving their teams. You don't just pull any of these 4 teams out of here like that. That doesn't just happen. You know what I mean?
It's not going to go over well.
Yeah, it's not going to go over well. You're going to have a hell uprising. So
they
what's
relocated
really fueling it is a $400 million tax credit that the state wants to give to the Sixers. $400 million. And I hate to say it, Broad, but you know who's the owner of the Sixers? That crooked bastard, Josh Harris, who also owns the Commanders. And unfortunately, I think money's the answer to the test here.
Yeah. So to answer your question, the Philadelphia 76ers located here to Philly in 1963. But, $400 million tax break, even though the taxes in the state of New Jersey are significantly higher than in PA. Yeah, okay.
Seems like a smokescreen to me. I'm with you, brother. It just doesn't. It seems a little bit too good to be true. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
hopefully they will figure out a way to stay. But it's definitely something interesting to talk about, to touch base on, because just the thought of Philadelphia. I'm not the biggest Flyers fan in the world either. If the Flyers left, I would be ready to raise hell. Those 4 teams you just want here. And it's not that I'm going to watch every Flyers game like I'm going to watch every Eagles game. The Eagles could go 0-16 and I'd watch every game. It's just how it is. It's how Eagles fans are, And it's also has to do with hockey and baseball having a lot more games. But same thing with the Phillies. I feel like the Phillies now that I'm invested, could go 0-160 and I'd still watch every game. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And even then, like what we were saying with the teams, like the Union, they play in Chester, but that's still within the same state. And I mean, Subaru from the South Philly complexes without traffic, maybe 20, 25 minutes. So, like, oh, yeah, it's outside of Philly. The Philadelphia Union don't actually play Philly, but they're close enough. I get it. Camden is right over the bridge, but that's still a whole separate state. Like, even when the MLL was a big thing and the Philadelphia Barrage played at Villanova, that's still close enough. And they're still within the same state. Like, moving to Jersey.
I'm with you, man.
A follow-up question. Did they give any like arguments as to why this would work?
The arguments are tax credit for the Sixers. So Sixers pockets getting fatter, which we don't really care about. Let's be honest. We want a good product. I don't care about them getting richer. There is a property that's vacant along the waterfront. The one thing I could see actually being a positive compared to what they're doing in the middle of the city would be the commute. I do think if they put it in Camden, it would make the commute a little bit easier for people from Delaware and Jersey. It would make it harder for people from PA. That's for damn sure. But it would make the commute easier for some people and long distance fans. But once again, they're not the Camden 76ers. They're the Philadelphia 76ers. It was like when the Stars were playing in Detroit or whatever, and they were the Philadelphia Stars. Like, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it because it's like, you guys aren't here. You aren't really the Philadelphia Stars. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the Stars, like specifically, that's also mainly due to like with COVID, they had the bubble, and then they tried to do this group thing, where it's like, yeah, you grouped a bunch of teams together. So why would you? So you like when the USFL was a thing before they merged into the UFL, when they were doing the groups, like in the other conference, it made sense, but then the conference that the Stars were in, it didn't make sense whatsoever. Yeah, you group the Stars with the Panthers and put them in Detroit, and then the Pittsburgh Maulers and the Jersey Generals in Canton, Ohio. Like, if you wanted to make it more sense geographically, you would have put the Stars and the Generals together and played at the link, and then find a midway point between the Panthers and the Maulers. Probably Cleveland, honestly, but like, yeah, that makes so much sense to put a team from over here in Philadelphia next to Detroit, which is right near Canada. And then a team in Jersey and a team in Pittsburgh. That's like 7 hours apart from each other.
Yeah, it just their ideas sometimes behind it don't make any sense. But I want to move on to a more upbeat topic. Something more exciting. We're not going to talk about the depressing Sixers anymore. We do that enough in the offseason. We're going to talk about something that we've waited for a long time. We may have to wait 10 years for the Sixers to make us happy, Broad. We had to wait 10 years for this bad boy, but oh my God. Talk about a wait being worth it. My biggest thing, man, it's like, where the hell was this, EA? Like, and I don't know if it feels like to you, it feels like Madden 19, Madden 20 on Frostbite. It has the same plays. It has the same gameplay. It has the same feel. And then it just has like updated graphics, updated, presentation. But as far as a whole, gameplay, presentation, graphics, storyline, plot, everything, 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. Broke my scale. Like everything I wanted and more.
First game in 11 years. I was so excited to play this game. I haven't put that much into Dynasty yet, which I'm trying to do with the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. But let's see. I've made 2 Road to Glory so far. I'm halfway through the season as the starting quarterback for South Carolina. And then I'm in season 3 of my running back road to glory, where I spent the first 2 years at Temple, perfect 16-0 both years, leading the nation in rushing both times. And then I had to transfer out because my coach, for some reason, it's like, yeah, I'd break off a big run in the first quarter, and then I wouldn't play till like the end of the second. And then, I'd score a touchdown late in the third quarter, wouldn't play the entire fourth quarter. So I'm like, you know what? I'm out of here. So I transferred from Temple to NC State. At NC State, we've been playing pretty well so far.
My rival. So I'll have to see you in the parallel universe, Broad, because I made Dutch Carter, who's the running back right now for UNC. There you go.
I was between UNC and NC State, but then I just went off of like a little bit more variety, even though realistically, like Temple, they didn't give you a lot of uniform options with Temple. And NC State, I mean, they have all black, all white, all red that you're able to customize everything. You probably could have done the same with North Carolina, but I was just like, oh, which one do I want to go to more? And NC State was more interested, so I'd be the starter right off the rip, so I chose NC State.
I get it, man. Yeah, NC State's uniforms are pretty cool too. And I don't hate NC State because I just like UNC. I like their uniforms. If I had to pick, my favorite college football team is actually LSU. That's who I always rooted for as a kid. That's who I stuck with. So that's who I'll just.
Penn State.
Of course, I get that. I just never. Penn State was a little bit too far for me. And of course, I root for the Blue Hens, but they're just getting into the FBS. They're pretty irrelevant too.
A little too far, so you choose a team even farther away.
No. Delaware Blue Hens, and Louisiana was about the furthest. Louisiana's my real football team that can compete with teams like Penn State, that can compete with teams like Alabama. Well, maybe some days can, I should say. It's like a legit franchise, though.
When it comes to the Blue Hens, like, I'm cool with them. It's fine. It's whatever. But then, obviously, I used to go to Elon. So Elon and Delaware were in the same conference. Obviously, I'm a Nova basketball fan, so I watched a lot of Nova football, and their rivalry is huge. So I'm always the Cats over the Blue Hens. But, I mean, the couple of years I was at Elon, and you know why I left there, but Elon would always beat that Blue Hen ass.
Thanks, Broad. Thanks, man. Appreciate you laying it on. I'm sure Jack appreciates it too if he's watching, because he's actually the one who got me into being a Blue Hen. But now moving up to being in FBS school, hopefully they'll be in the game next year. So then maybe Broad can beat that Blue Hen ass. Or maybe I'll beat Broad's ass with the Blue Hens. Who sees? That sounds like a fun game.
I'll probably make a dynasty with the Blue Hens when they do come up.
What position would you play as a dynasty with the Blue Hens? I'm interested.
So I have an Xbox.
Okay. But if you could pick any position to play, like Blue Hen, you're coming into Delaware. What position are you playing? Running back, QB? QB.
But it's also funny sometimes when you think about all the FCS teams that they couldn't get into the game. Hopefully they'll try to do that a little bit more next year. I did hear some rumors that they're going to try to bring in the FCS teams, but when it comes to conference realignments and stuff, it's funny how the teams that are the most successful in the FCS aren't going up. Like North Dakota State had that run where they made, 13 national championships? Or no, actually, so they won 9 straight. It was something like 11 national championships in 12 years. They won 11 of them, and they're not going up. South Dakota State, they're the back-to-back defending national champions. They're not heading up. But then you have teams like Kennesaw State, who started their football team in 2015, that went up to the FBS after not really doing anything in the FCS. You got teams like Sam Houston State. Granted, they did win a national championship. They moved up. Jacksonville State moved up. So it's like, why won't these better teams move up into those conferences?
Yeah, the game, I think, is going to go with a lot of interesting places. It's already in a very good place. I was a little bit frustrated, like I said, because I was like, when I played it for the first time on Thursday, I bought it and I fired it up and I was like, oh my God, that intro alone with Welcome to the Jungle. I'll have to post a video. I took a video of my raw reaction to it.
I wanted to, but then I just couldn't get the camera angle.
It was tough. I knew I wanted to do that, and there were a couple of things that I wanted to do that I didn't get to do. So trust me, I've been there too. But oh my God, that intro just makes you feel like a kid again. And I'm right now chilling on Dynasty. I've done a little bit of Ultimate Team, not much. And then I have been just playing head to head with Jack, just playing with my buddies, just feeling like a kid again, playing with these teams, playing with these uniforms, playing in the snow, doing crazy shit. And
Yeah.
the whole, like I said, presentation of the game, head to toe, is perfect. And it kind of frustrates me because this feels like what if they took all the good parts of Madden over the past 5 years, like, okay, this year had the best feel. This year had the best graphics. This year had the best presentation and play call and like announcers. You know what I mean? This year had the best like plays because there were plays in there that I was like, holy shit, I haven't seen this play in 5 years. Like, I love this play. And it felt like EA kind of just knew like what was good and what worked. And they're like, huzzah. And like, it's kind of just like, the fuck? Like, you guys could have done this the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, do you hear what I'm saying?
But speaking of your dynasty, how are the Cornhuskers led by Coach Holland?
Oh, okay. So Jack has this idea, and we should do a dynasty league, and Broad can join, KJ can join, Chris can join, everybody can join. We'll get a huge league going. And if any of our fans want to do it, let us know. But what I want to do is essentially everybody does 4 random roles off of their favorite team. And whoever you get, you have to be the coach with that dynasty. And we just start a league. So it can be scary, man. It can be really scary because like it can go either really well or really bad. Luckily, I got the Cornhuskers, Nebraska. I was pretty happy with that. Husk up. They're a pretty good franchise. I think that they're like an 84 overall in the game.
Go Big Red.
Huh?
No, their slogan is Go Big Red.
Go Big Red. But the point is,
GBR.
I haven't even fired it up yet because I want to be able to stream it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I got to figure that out. So I haven't done any Dynasty yet with Coach Holland. I might just live stream it on TikTok. I don't know yet. But Jack has been playing a lot of Dynasty. And from what I've heard, he said it's everything and some. He said the whole recruiting process, he said it's sick.
Man, when it comes to the 4 randoms, as long as I don't get, I mean, even though you can do a lot of variety, just because I don't like these teams, as long as I don't get Bama, that team that wears corn and blue, I think you know what I'm talking about. It's the team. What's the letter that comes? It's like the letter between L and N. I think that's their logo. I think
Not
you know
Mizzou or Missouri, right?
No, not them. It's like they're a little bit more north.
Is it green?
No, it's they wear corn and I believe blue.
Dude, I'm drawing a blank. I'm thinking. Who?
Come on. Bro.
Oh, Michigan? I wouldn't hate Michigan. I wouldn't hate them.
And Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Ohio State. I don't know. There could be worse teams. Like the thing that I think is the coolest part about Dynasty, at least playing with your friends, if you trust in yourself and your ability, it really doesn't matter what fucking team you get because you know that you're gonna whoop that ass. It just matters what uniforms you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So that's really where you want to hit the lottery.
Variety. Like I'd prefer like at NC State or Carolina where you can get a little bit more variety with the uniforms that you're able to wear. But even if I got say like Maryland, for example, I'd be fine with that. If I got LSU or Ole Miss, I'd be fine with that. Mississippi State, like I wish that they had the helmets from from NCAA 14, where it's like they wore those special ones with like the white helmet with the bulldog on it, or it's like the one with like the shade of gold in it. I don't like their helmets in this game because it's just like a base white helmet or a base maroon helmet, and instead of having the M, it's just a script State.
Yeah, there's a lot of helmets and I think that they'll get better. They'll add more. This is just the first, you know what I mean, release to the
Yeah.
public. So it'll get better with time. I think the fact that it's already this good and the whole team builder thing, that's going to go crazy. Now, I know by now I heard that you can't upload certain logos. I'm going to go build a team tonight. I don't know what they're going to be called. I don't know if I want to do the Wichita State Wizards or the Wilmington State Wizards from Delaware, but I'm going to make a college football team and
hopefully I can
them.
make the Elon Phoenix or Blue Mountain State. I know people have made.
I think some people have already made them, so you can just download them and play with them even better.
And then I might make the Wichita State kind of based off of Ted Lasso as well. Like you see it like a little bit in the intro, but it's like Wichita State hasn't had football since like the 80s. Or I might also do, if I'm able to make it, mainly because they were a college football team until 2007, I believe. I might try to recreate LaSalle.
That would be an interesting franchise to do. You know who I'm going to bring into the game? St. Joe's. It's going to be Volunteers. No, I'm kidding.
I would make a SJU one.
That would be fun if we did like the fuckers around SJU. I'd be on the team, you'd be on the team, KJ would be on the team. KJ's brother goes there, so KJ's brother would probably be on the team.
Graduated from there.
Maybe we put my sister on the team. Maybe she could be our kicker or something. I don't know. Or maybe a corner. She might be a sleeper corner. She's pretty fast, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I would definitely recreate LaSalle, but I think I would more base it off of like the high school in Windermere, even though I grew up in a St. Joe's prep family, so LaSalle, ew. But I would probably base it more off of them, where their uniforms are kind of like Notre Dame, but I would do like 2 helmets because they have one helmet. They've been switching up their helmets recently, but like usually it's a base gold helmet. Some years it's just an L, or they have like the kind of arched cursive script LaSalle.
Mm-hmm.
Or I might try to base off their lacrosse helmet if I'm able to put the logo in and have like the actual Explorer on the helmet.
You might be able to do that, which would be pretty cool. And there's going to be a lot of fun stuff with it. Who knows? I've already been seeing some people.
And then
put the
one
Philadelphia
more team that I got to build. I got to build my high school. Roll Pats, baby.
Oh, yeah. The high schools are going to be fun when they get into it. So stay tuned for that. And let us know in the comments what's been your guys' favorite part of the game so far. So, Broad, moving along now into our next topic. 2024 is a big year for our Philadelphia Eagles.
It is.
Jalen Hurts. Let's just get into some expectations for this kid. We talked about it a little bit this week on 302 Birds. What are your expectations for Jalen Hurts?
Good morning.
So are we doing just Jalen Hurts or just the team as in general?
Let's just start with Hurts, and then the next segment will go with the team.
I mean, I don't want to say that like, oh, I expect him to get back to 2022 MVP level. I mean, I'm expecting him to bounce back a little bit more this season. I think, like, you look at some of the games from last year compared to 2022, I saw a little bit more of a confidence issue with Jalen Hurts, not necessarily his arm strength. It was just more of a confidence issue from what I saw. It's mainly because of his knee, his shoulders. Like, you look at 2022, there were some plays where, oh, he'll take off and run, but then 2023, with all these injuries piling up, he's like, all right, I'm just going to drop and take the sack. So, like, I'm expecting him to bounce back a little bit more. I don't know what you think.
In my opinion, I like what he said. I mean, it's going to be hard to recreate what he did in 2022. That season was just magnificent from top to bottom. And sometimes you only, and hear me out with this, some people aren't going to like this take, but it's true. Sometimes you only have a season like that by doing the unexpected, coming out an underdog. Like, you're not going to do that when everybody's seen it already and knows what to expect. The NFL is a copycat league, they say. People are going to, just watch your film and pick up on it. That's what happened to our Eagles last year. So my expectations for Jalen Hurts are going to be develop his game. Don't just be able to rely on your run, but get other tools in your tool belt, in your bat belt that you can pull out on a dime because, when you can't run it, you got to be able to pass it. I want him to actually develop this year more as a primary passer and be able to put the ball downfield and then have the running kind of be an afterthought.
Yeah.
We'll see, if that happens. I think that he could hopefully, Jack didn't like this take, but I think that this is what Jalen Hurts should be. He could develop, hopefully, I would say, like Russell Wilson. When Russell Wilson first came into the league, primary rusher, and then, became a passer as a whole. Jack didn't like it because Russell Wilson sucks now, but there was a time when Russell Wilson was a very good, consistent quarterback
he was
for Seattle.
When it comes to your first take, I'm not going to necessarily say that I agree with it, but like the take that you just said before you went into Russell Wilson, I mean, you're not wrong, because a prime example of that is 2017 Carson Wentz, where it's kind of just like one of those 1 in a million seasons where you do almost everything perfect, and then unfortunately injuries cut his season short. But I mean, I could see where you're going. I'm not going to necessarily say I agree with it, but I don't disagree with it either.
Yeah, it's just tough because, like, as a Philly fan, we really have such a high expectation, probably the most heightened it's ever been for a quarterback, because Jalen Hurts right now is at his peak moment, his make or break season right now in Philadelphia as the quarterback. And we, as fans, are at our make or break moment. We're just frustrated with the franchise and not having a franchise QB since McNabb. So Jalen has been probably the closest thing we've had since, with a next close second to Carson, I would say. The 2 or 3 consistent seasons that they gave us at a high level. Maybe Vic as well can be thrown in there, but it hasn't been like that guy that's like, okay, we had this guy for 5 years. We know that he's going to be here. It is hopefully Jalen, but I mean, it's just such a different league too, because when you have a contract, you're not really tied to a guy either like you were 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
They say it all the time. At the end of the day, the NFL is a business. So, you could sign that contract, but if you don't sign a no trade clause, you can easily be shipped at any given point. Sports are a business, and some people don't understand that. It's like, oh, why would you trade this guy away? Now, I say that all the time, but then I'm like, oh, okay. I forgot. It's a business. They can do whatever the hell they want. But yeah, I mean, what you were saying, Carson was close to being a franchise guy, and then unfortunately he regressed. Vic, his seasons were too short for me to consider him being a franchise guy because we never really offered him an extension. We never did things of that nature. And then when it came to Nick Foles, like, he tried the best he could, but then at the same time, a lot of times he was hurt. So then you bring in, oh God, don't even get me started on the 2015 trade for that dumbass Sam Bradford. But
yeah, that name haunts me. That name almost haunts me as much as Mark Sanchez. The dog days of Eagles quarterback.
Mark Sanchez honestly doesn't haunt me because he had flashes, unlike Sam.
That Carolina game, I'll never forget when he came in and beat the shit out of the Panthers with Darren Sproles.
Or when he put belt to ass on the Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
That was a good moment too, And he's not a bad guy. That's a good point. I like him as a commentator. I like him as a person.
Yeah, I mean, he had 2 good years with the Jets, and then unfortunately injuries caught up to him. He showed some flashes with the Eagles. Obviously, he wasn't able to emulate that in Dallas, in Chicago, I think he went to Denver as well, and Washington. But Mark isn't as offensive as Sam. And he also wasn't as offensive as in 2007 when McNabb was hurt, AJ Feely, but I digress.
There was just a way that Sam Bradford would stand sometimes in the huddle that just looked so unathletic that I was like,
also just his whole outfit in general. Like you try to portray being like a super athletic guy. Now, granted, not every quarterback, like Peyton Manning, he wore the long sleeves. Kirk did a little bit earlier on in his career, but Kirk still somewhat looked athletic. Where with Sam, it was like he wore the long sleeves. It looked like his chest and his legs were tiny. And then his neck is nowhere to be found. And it looked like he was wearing a bucket on his head.
Not a good look.
Yeah, I'm going to pull, as much as I hate saying this, I'm going to pull up a picture of him.
While you're pulling it up, I want you to go ahead and answer this question here, too, for our guy Varju, please. Who's your breakout guy on the offensive side and on the defensive side of the ball? If you need a second to think, like, that is horrible.
You're telling me that looks athletic when his neck is nowhere to be found because he's wearing big-ass shoulder pads? You're pretty much wearing a jersey that fans would buy, and then you're wearing a bucket on your head. Brother. But on the defensive side of the ball, breakout guy, honestly, I think will be Quinyon. I might be hyping him up a little bit too early, but I mean, Kobe Dean is also another prime candidate. That's if he stays healthy. But I am going to go with Quinyon because I like his coverage. I watched a lot of his film when he was at Toledo. On the offensive side of the ball, that is a good question because, like, you could say Smitty, but he's had back-to-back 1,200-yard seasons. You could say, and then AJ's had back-to-back 1,450 seasons. When it comes to offensive side of the ball, I mean, obviously everyone's going to say Saquon because him adjusting into a new offense. You know, I think a guy who's actually going to break out a little bit. Now, granted, he's not going to take the starting job, but mainly because our backup guy left to go to the Giants, I'm going to say Calc. Graham Calcaterra.
I like that pick. I mean, he had a solid year last year, too. He had a couple good catches.
Yeah, but he was always overshadowed by Jack Stoll. Jack Stoll always had some solid games when Dallas was hurt. And now with Jack going to the Giants, I think Calc will fit well into that role.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on defense. You took the two out of my mouth. If I had to say offensively, this guy right here, he's on the money too. I was going to say Beef Jerky. I think that this will be the year that Beef Jerky, now that Kelsey's gone, will emerge as an all-pro. We'll see kind of what he can do. And it's nothing against Kelsey. It's just now it's his time to shine. He's learned from one of the best. And he was so good in college. His personality is so good. Like, that offensive line could be a fucking TV show. Like, all of them together could be a reality TV show. Especially that left side, Mulata, Landon, and then Cam. The three of them together, like, that combo is crazy.
And then we have Mackay playing right guard?
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to put... I've heard Mackay. I would like to see... what's the kid's name? It begins with a T. I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, Tyler Steen.
I would like to see Tyler Steen get a shot because he had a couple reps last year and, like, he's a little bit younger. But if they like Mackay and that's their guy, I mean, Stout. Stout knows what he's doing.
This. Going from tackle to guard is not as easy as everyone thinks it is. So, like, you might say, like, the first couple games, like, Mackay or Tyler, they might struggle a little bit. Oh, this guy stinks. Bleh. Like, tackle to guard is very difficult. Because everyone's like, oh, no, it's pretty much the same position, right? No. Because you're learning entirely new – because I can say this as an offensive lineman. You're learning entirely new steps. You're learning entirely new roles, more responsibilities. Now, Cam, with him, it's going to be easier because he was the center at Nebraska when we drafted him. So it's going to be easier for him to adjust back to center. But Andre Dillard, a guy who unfortunately could not survive injuries when we had him, he put this analogy I just love because he was drafted as a left tackle. And then obviously they had him doing reps at right tackle when Lane was hurt. He said the adjustment from going from the left side of the line to the right side of the line is like writing an essay with your dominant hand. And then halfway through, the proctor says, okay, now write the other half with your weak hand. Like, it might look easy, but it is not. Like I was a left tackle. I more prefer a left-handed stance. I put my right hand down, my hand is shaking. It's not comfortable. If I put my left hand down, it's a lot more natural, so it's easier for me to get off the ball. But I mean, you got to give Mackay and Tyler some slack for moving from tackle to guard.
Yeah. And it takes time too, like you said. I think that's a great point. It's a whole new technique going from tackle to guard, guard to tackle. So give it time. That's the benefit that the Eagles have too, is maturing, is realizing that they have pretty decent coaching as a whole. We'll get into this here in a second, what this means. But Stoutland U is who is I wanted to focus on there for a second and just say I think that Stout is going to make the right call. I think Stout's going to develop these guys. Whatever you give Stoutland, whatever canvas to work with, he finds a way to turn the guy into a Pro Bowler, all pro. So I'm not too worried about the Eagles offensive line, knock on wood, of course. But, I look forward to see what Coach Stout can do with these guys is more what I'm trying to say, because I think that they're in good hands. Maybe not in good hands was the Eagles offense last year, Broad. There's some stories coming out now saying that some of the frustration, confusion from last year was due to Nick Sirianni wanting to over control the offense. How are you feeling about some of these allegations?
I mean, I think it's kind of weird when you think about it, because everyone's like, oh, Sirianni's not a good coach. When he was an offense coordinator, he didn't call the play, but he was in Indianapolis. But like, I guess he was trying to do more. Maybe he over controlled. I'm not too sure because I haven't looked that much into it. But is Kellen Moore a good choice? Yes. Was he first option choice? But I'm excited to see what Kellen will do. Granted, he had a phenomenal season with Dallas in 2021, then regressed in 2022. And then I'm going to give him somewhat of slack because of how decimated the Chargers were last year. But the guys seem to like him, so I'll trust him for now.
Yeah. I'll say this, bro. Maturing is realizing when your quarterback is telling your head coach to calm down in the Super Bowl, you might need to reconsider. The Eagles got lucky this year. Here's why. I love Nick Sirianni as a human being, as a person. I think he's amazing. I love him as a head coach, too, when he can keep himself in check. It's the, I fucking know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Coming up the sideline. That may be funny and all of that to us. You know what I mean? Like, we're the Philly fans. We're the people at home sitting on our couch with a beer and a can. Yeah! You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's funny to us, but like as a player, there's a certain level of professionalism that you have for yourself, that you have for your team, that you have for your teammates, the organization. And it's not to say that Nick Sirianni disrespects that. It's just, it comes across very unprofessional when he does.
You got to learn the appropriate time to do so.
Locker room all day, like chain on those videos. That's great. That's the head coach I want to see. Players love that kind of stuff. That's when Nick Sirianni's at his best. It's when Jalen Hurts is telling him, yo, you gotta calm down in the Super Bowl, that he's at his worst. Because if your player is telling you that head coach calm down, that ain't a good look.
Yeah, no, it's not that great of a look, but like, obviously I like that he shows the passion, because everyone's like, oh, he's a bad head coach because he does that. Oh, I'm sorry that our head coach is not a robot, but he's got to learn. Like, for Nick, he's got to learn like the perfect balance between passion and arrogance. He's got to learn that you can be arrogant, you can be passionate, but you got to like find that little sweet spot in the middle. Because, I mean, again, I love the passion, but sometimes, yes, he does need to calm down. Because, like, you look at, like, Nick Saban, for example. Like, he's known for keeping a cool head, but then when you looked over at the sideline and he's yelling at someone, it's like, Coach, will you chill? You are about to have an aneurysm. My God, I can see the veins popping out of your head.
He is going to have an Annie sometimes.
It's like, oh, no wonder why he's retiring. And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way because he's a phenomenal coach. I respect the hell out of Nick Saban, but it's like when you were watching some of those games, it's like, oh, no wonder why he retired, because if he continues on like this, he's going to drop dead of a heart attack in 3 years.
Yep. Yeah, it's sometimes, I don't want to say it's sad, like how some of these guys get so invested with a game, because it really is a game at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, like as a fan, it's not just a game. Like there's that fine balance, like you said, of passion and arrogance. I think you beautifully put this segment, bro. You nailed it, bro. Yeah. Passion, arrogance, and a time and a place. There's a time and a place, like you said.
This is what I'm referencing when it comes to have you ever seen Major League 2?
No, I haven't.
So this is what I'm referencing.
What we need. Skip, they were a different team last year.
When it comes to yelling and everything.
Make excuses. That's all you guys do good. It's either a leg thing, or a spiritual thing, or a psychological thing, or a heart attack. Who used heart attack? Me.
Losing his fucking mind. I mean, like, look at this picture of him, dude. That's the same vibe.
It's like, listen, I understand you're very passionate. You're very pissed off at your team, but also you got to think about this, coach. You are 70. You know how much pressure you are putting on your brain and your heart, and it does not take much to trigger a heart attack, to trigger an aneurysm. Like, coach, if you want to be around for a little bit longer, because everyone says, oh, the Bear Bryant tax, because how Bear Bryant, he was a coach for so many years at Alabama, then they forced him to retire, and then he was dead in 2 years. I'm not saying that's going to be the same thing with Nick Saban, but it's like sometimes, again, coach, I get it. You're passionate. You're pissed off, but calm the hell down.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, it's sometimes, I don't want to say sad, but it's sometimes just, look, you gotta understand. Sometimes I understand you get upset, you get mad. That's okay. But you got to think about, how does it look to the people around you? You are in the NFL, the National Football League. You are on the best, most professional stage for football, the sport you play or coach in the world. So the world is watching at all times. You got to keep that in mind. And I think you put it best, bro. There's a time and a place, and he just needs to learn that. I think he will. I think he's probably the best coach we've had in a while. I actually, believe it or not, wasn't the biggest fan of Doug Peterson. And then he won the Super Bowl. Yeah, I didn't love Doug, but I didn't hate him, I guess is a good way to put it.
I will say, when we were in the hiring process for Doug, he was not my number one option.
Yeah.
Because my number one option for the longest time, because this guy should have gotten, whether it was the head coaching job or the offensive coordinator job, Deuce.
Deuce should have definitely been the OC. He should have gotten the OC. Oh, my God. Over Brian Johnson all day.
And that's why he left for Detroit, why he left for Chicago. It's like he's qualified. Like, you're telling me after Frank left and the running backs that we had in 2017 when we won the Super Bowl and how well they were under his leadership, you're telling me that he wasn't capable of becoming an offensive coordinator? And then 2018, we shipped the guy off after a year because he sucked.
It's wild. It's wild. It's a business, like you said. It's definitely a business, unfortunately, sometimes. Hopefully they'll get it together. But that's all we got for you guys. We don't have anything else to cover. I want to thank Broad for jumping on here with me. Broad, let everybody know where they can find you as well.
Man, you can find me on TikTok at Broad Sports, Instagram at Broad_sports. I know I'm trying to figure out my work schedule and my school schedule right now, but I want to do a little bit more on YouTube, whether it's filming skits that I usually do with the Big Ten weekly meetings or even doing some live shows. So that is TBD for now, but I'll keep you guys in the loop.
Stay tuned for that, and we're going to try to get Broad on here a lot more because every time he comes to the show, awesome contributor. We love having him on. Love talking sports with him. A friend and a contributor. Lucky to know him. Lucky to have him. That's all we got. Appreciate you as always, Broad. We're out of here. Let us know in the comments what's been your favorite part of College Football 25. We'll see you next week.
More